Put me down! Put me down! Are you crazy? Behave yourself, Mrs. Thorne. What did you just call me? There wasn't much to do in a single room, even one as vast as this, with its vaulted ceilings and polished marble floors that echoed her every step. She paced and paced and paced some more, counting steps. 17 steps from bed to balcony door, 23 from the wardrobe to bathroom, which she still hadn't used despite the painful pressure in her bladder, a small rebellion against surrendering to the comforts of her prison. She stood on the balcony, fingers white-knuckled on the wrought iron railing, staring at the bruise-colored sky, the knife-edged cliffs, the slated gray sea churning hundreds of feet below. She knelt before the marble fireplace, arranging kindlings with trembling hands, striking matches that flared sulphur yellow before catching. The crackling flames casted dancing shadows but provided no comfort. Her tongue felt like sandpaper, her stomach a hollow cavern that growled and then ached and then went terrifyingly silent. The silver tray of food, poached eggs, toast points, sliced fruit arranged in a perfect fan, sat untouched, another small rebellion. She thought about Mark, too, his rough hands, the smell of motor oil that never quite washed away. If he really thought she had cheated, he was hunched over a whiskey at O'Malley's, cursing her name to anyone who'd listen. Just wait for work to notice. I have a shift tomorrow night in the ICU. When I don't show up, they'll come knocking. When the sky outside the balcony window deepened from periwinkle to indigo, a sharp knock rattled the heavy oak door. Willow stood, her silk dress whispering against her calves, her heart stuttering against her ribs. She forced her lips into a smile that felt like a wound. But when the door swung open on its polished hinges, it wasn't Eden's lean silhouette that filled the frame. A gray-haired maid with a face like crumbled parchment stood there, her spine ramrod straight beneath her starched black uniform. Behind her loomed a mountain of a man with hands like ham hocks and a neck as thick as Willow's thigh. Hope flared in her chest like a struck match. The maid brushed past her, trailing the scent of lemon polish and lavender soap, making her way to the balcony. Her gnarled fingers clutched crisp linen napkins, silver candlesticks that caught the fading light, and crystal glasses that clinked together with each step. The guard remained at the threshold, his eyes the flat gray of river stones. Willow glanced at the camera's red eye, winking from the crown molding before inching towards him, her voice dropping to the barest thread of sound. I've seen you before. Patrolling the grounds? You're security. I don't know what lies Mr. Eden has fed you, but I'm being held prisoner here. Please, if you could just step aside, I could find my own way out. I won't cause any trouble. She searched his face for any flicker of humanity, a twitch of compassion, a moment of doubt, but found only the blank canvas of practiced indifference. He stared through her, as if she were made of glass. The maid shuffled back, her orthodontic shoes squeaking against the marble as she passed Willow, past a guard, and reached for a gleaming silver cart laden with covered dishes that steamed beneath their domes. When Willow lunged towards the open doorway, the guard's arm shot out, a flesh barricade as unyielding as the iron gates surrounding the estate. Are you serious? The words scraped her throat raw as she fought to keep her voice low, to contain the scream building behind her teeth. You're an accomplice to kidnapping, a felony. Do you understand that? This isn't some romantic fantasy. It's imprisonment. What's your cut? How many zeros in the check? Huh? How many zeros in the check make it worth helping him collect women like butterflies? The guard's face remained as expressionless as carved granite, his pupils fixed on some invisible point beyond her left shoulder. The maid re-entered with a cart of food, its silver wheels whispering against the marble floors. Willow followed her to the balcony, where twilight painted the sea a bruised purple. Hey! Hey! Her voice cracked like thin ice. Don't pretend like you don't see me here. Don't make me feel like I'm a ghost. What you're all doing here is illegal. Do you know that? No amount of money should ever embolden you to steal a human. The words tumbled out, desperate and raw. The maid's weathered hands arranged crystal glasses with mechanical precision. Are you listening to me? Hey! Willow grabbed the woman's bony wrist, feeling papery skin beneath her fingers. Before she can draw another breath, massive hands clamped around her waist. The guard lifted her as effortlessly as a child's doll, her silk dress billowing as he deposited her onto the bed, as if she were a porcelain doll being returned to the shelf. Behave yourself, Mrs. Thorne, the guard scolded, his voice like gravel underfoot. Willow's eyes widened, blood draining from her face until her skin matched the ivory pillowcases. What did you just call me? Her voice emerged as a hoarse whisper. My name is Willow Rosen. Miss Rosen. I am not a thorn. They proceeded with their duties, the guard positioning himself by the door like a granite statue, the maid lighting taper candles with a silver lighter that clicked with each flame. Willow's protests dissolved into incoherent pleas. Before she could stop them, they slipped through the door, the heavy oak closing with a sound like a coffin's lid. The silence pressed against her eardrums. Willow curled into herself, her body folding like wet paper. A sob tore from her throat, primal, wounded, and for the first time since this nightmare began, she surrendered to tears that burned like acid down her cheeks. The balcony table gleamed with silver and crystal, each element positioned beautifully. Candles flickered in the evening breeze, casting long shadows across the white tablecloth. The aroma of seared fish wafted towards her, triggering an involuntary rush of saliva, despite her determination to resist. When the bolt slid back with a metallic click, Eden entered, wearing the charcoal suit she'd come to dread. The one that emphasized the broadness of his shoulders and the narrowness of his waist. His jaw was tight, a muscle twitching beneath the soft skin. Willow had dragged herself from the bed and scrubbed her face, but her practiced smile crumbled before it could form. Please. The word escaped like air from a punctured lung. Let's eat. He interrupted. He strode to the table and pulled out her chair with a flourish that mimicked chivalry, his eyes fixed on her, expectant and demanding. Her legs moved without her permission, carrying her across the balcony. The silk dress whispered accusations against her skin as she sank into the chair. A tear escaped, tracking down her cheek. She wiped it away with trembling fingers. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Her careful plan was disintegrating with each passing second, and no amount of internal pep talks could dam the flood of despair rising in her chest. The silence stretched between them, broken only by the soft scrapes of his knife against fine china and the ocean waves. When he finally spoke, his voice was velvet over steel. You behaved poorly today. His gaze never wavered from her face, even as he sliced through the steak. Willow stared at the perfectly grilled fish on her plate, garnished with herbs and lemon. Of course he would know her preference. Of course he would use even this small detail to demonstrate his control. You may not understand, Willow, but I am what you need in your life. She met his eyes across the candlelit table. They called me Mrs. Thorne. Eden's lips curled into a slow, satisfied smile, the kind that didn't reach his glacier blue eyes. He said nothing, just returned to slicing his blood-rare steak. That's not the way life works, Mr. Eden, Willow said, her voice quivering like a plucked violin string. This is not how you court a woman. I'm allowed to have freedom, to live the life I choose. He set down his knife with a soft clink. And what would you do with your life if I let you go right now? Where would you go? Her mind raced, searching for solid ground. Family. Family? His voice was honey iron. Your family? Your father, the abusive alcoholic who mirrors your ex-boyfriend? Your mother is buried 6 feet under. Uncles? He leaned forward, his shadow falling across her untouched plate. The same ones who watched you with hungry eyes when you were barely 13? Are those aunts who collected government checks while you slept on bare mattresses? The candle flames wavered in the sudden chill between them. Willow's fingers clutched the edge of the table, her knuckles bleaching white. He knew too much. Details she hadn't whispered in the estate to a dying old man's ears. It was suffocating. Friends, then, she whispered. For how long? His voice sliced through the air. They'll grow tired of you. They'll count the days, wondering when you'll leave, calculating how long you've overstayed your welcome. Stop. The word escaped as a broken plea. A single tear traced a glistening path down her cheek, catching the candlelight like a diamond. Eden's jaw tightened, a muscle pulsing beneath the smooth skin of his temple. What do you have that isn't me? He asked through clenched teeth. She lifted her chin, eyes swimming with unshed tears. Me. The word exploded between them, shattering the oppressive silence. I've got me. The room grew still. Eden studied her, as one might examine a beautiful but flawed gemstone. Minutes stretched like taffy before he spoke. You. His voice dropped to a whisper. Alone in a world of vultures. A scornful laugh escaped his throat, dry as autumn leaves. I forbid it. He threw his napkin onto the table, pristine white linen now crumbled into discarded innocence, and rose to his full length, towering over her. The chair scraped against the stone with a sound like a scream. At the threshold, he turned back, his silhouette framed by the doorway. If you behave like that again, you will be punished, Willow. The door closed with a soft click that somehow sounded more threatening than a slam. Alone, she stared at his half-eaten meal, wondering what horrors lurked behind that single word, punished.